No idea who I am or why I'm here, but this is a grand occasion. Thank you very much. So,
It's lovely.
So who are you?
I'm Wayne Hougland from the Diocese of Western Michigan.
And I'm Todd, Ousley, Eastern Michigan.
Wendell, Gibbs, Michigan.
Rayford, Northern Michigan.
Well, this has been my first convention. Struggled over some really tough issues. Marriage and structure and the election of our presiding bishop, which was historic, and particularly as it rolled off of the week of the Supreme Court and all those things. And
It's instead of fighting with each other, we're acknowledging that we're not all in the same place, but in the midst of that, we can stay together. And so even the walk on Sunday, the purpose of it, and I hope people get it, is that we're not saying that we want to take guns away from everybody.
Right.
We're saying gun violence is the issue, and we want to get away from this senseless violence and guns in the hands of people who shouldn't have them, so that we don't have tragedies like Charleston, etc. That's been amazing to me. It's a very different place than what we were years ago.
And, our activity around gun violence, our advocacy for how both church and society respond to our gay and lesbian sisters and brothers, et cetera, et cetera. He reminded us that fundamental to all of it is our relationship with Jesus.
Right.
And that when Jesus comes into our lives, that it shifts things. It shifts the perspective and invites us into a response that's grounded deeply in faith and grounded deeply in relationship. What Michael is going to bring to us is a way of keeping that balance and that tension between what it means to have faith in Jesus and what it means to go, as he says, to go and put that faith into action. All inside, I keep thinking about when we get back home, we got work to do.
Yeah, and I'm excited because he laid it out on the table and talked about the Jesus movement. And what we do out in our community.
Right.
And
it's
that
about
we're
Jesus.
all a part of
Yes.
it.
Jesus accepts us as we are, but he's not going to leave us there.
That's
You're
right.
not going to leave us there.
You're not going to leave us
That's
there.
changing the land.
Because he came to the world to change the world. And as part of the Jesus movement, we are supposed to be about changing the world as well.
That's right.
And he sees himself as the CEO, Chief Evangelist Officer.
Yeah.
The denomination, I think, really changed dramatically
Yes.
with this election and the overwhelming support of both houses for Michael as our presiding bishop. And I think it's just going to bleed into our congregations, and hopefully it will infuse us with a spirit and boldness to indeed go and help with the Jesus movement and not be afraid to talk about Jesus.
Amen.
Or being an Episcopalian.
That's right.
Amen.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Can you imagine if this message of evangelism really does infuse the church over the next 9 years? We're going to be an incredibly different church in 9 years than we are today. As Michael said, God's not finished with us yet.
Amen.
And that's a good thing. That is so good to hear.
And the day of the election, what was so moving for me, there was a number of things that were moving about that day. When we left the community worship, the bishops were invited to leave first, and I happened to be sitting next to Michael. So I was a step back. I wanted him to be ahead of me. I didn't want to interfere. But you could feel the energy in the room pointing towards us as bishops and him in particular. And just there was just a great deal of love and hope in that moment. And then when the announcement, and he comes down the cathedral aisle, and Barbara Harris is there waiting for him. I just was in tears the whole time because you could just feel the presence of the Spirit.
Yeah, there's
Very
definitely a shift, a change that has happened here.
There's been a lot of tension in the church, and a lot of struggles for power, pulling more like pulling apart than trying to pull together. And I think some of this has been about pulling together, and certainly because of the collaboration we have, the four of us, it feels more like what we're doing.
Right.
And it feels good, it feels right, it feels hopeful. You know, Michael has quietly, around the edges since the election, gone and talked to people and said, well, you know, I know you have issues with this or that resolution. He said, but, you know, let's give collaboration a try and see what happens. I trust that because Michael trusts Jesus. And cool, then let's go with it. Let's go with it.
Yeah.